Hello, 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 powerful mujeres. Welcome back to the Yes Mujer Build It podcast. We did a couple of reruns. I don't know if they're called reruns because in TV, that's what they're called, right? What's the appropriate podcast word for that? Where we re aired some episodes, two particular episodes that I've gotten many questions about in the past. So I thought, you know what? Every couple of months, we're going to re air these particular episodes because they're foundational to the work that I teach. And I think just amazing tools that you can use for your life. So one of the tools is be, do, have. Yes. And the second tool is belief work. How to actually take a thought and make it a belief and start to feel it in your body, start to feel the connection between your feelings and your thoughts, and then step into being that person out in the real world, which is what I just did at Amigas in Business. Yes, that's what we're going to talk about today. My three biggest takeaways, what I learned from being at Amigas in Business and actually being a speaker. I got to do a breakout room. So excited that that opportunity came my way. Of course, guys, I've worked hard for this. This is just who I'm being now. I called this opportunity in, but guys, it was such an amazing, unique situation for me. And I'm going to go through all of the details of the excitement I felt and why it was different for me than other speaking engagements I've done. Completely different. Although I've spoken in front of Latinas before, I've spoken in front of large crowds before, but this one felt a little bit different. So I want to start with some reminders. I feel like I'm on one of my Inspired Action group coaching calls where I always start with reminders. If you're listening to this live, then there's a couple of things I want you to be aware of. One is I'm doing a training. Yes, called the Heffa's Guide to Building a Successful Coaching Business. It's for all of my coaching clients and all my clients who want to be coaches and everyone who listens to this podcast who is a coach or is interested in learning about coaching. It is happening October 20th, Sunday. It's a full day virtual training. And if you can't make it live, don't worry, it's going to be recorded, but you do need to get your tickets. So make sure you go over to my Instagram. The link in my Instagram, in my bio, will give you information on how to get tickets. You can also DM me if you have any questions. If you're on my email list, you're going to get an email with this specific information just for you. I hope to see you there. There are limited spots. So if you haven't bought your ticket yet, please do, because I'm keeping it as an intimate training for coaches. Okay, let's dive in to what I learned from Amigas in Business. Yes. I know for sure that none of these events would be possible if it wasn't for volunteers and if it wasn't for having a team, even a small but mighty team. So I'm so grateful that they continue to provide these spaces for us as Latinas to come together. Because let me tell you, my ancestors were singing and dancing. I mean, they were like on fire with everybody else's ancestors when we came together. As Latinas, as women of color, as brown women, we need to be in community. That is how we heal. That is also, by the way, how we build. We build in community, right? Which is surprising for me to say because for 10 years, I was a one-on-one coach. I just coached one-on-one because I loved the impact that I could make in somebody's life in this very sacred, confidential space. I could make somebody feel safe enough to open up and share and have a breakthrough. But now, after having done groups for the last 4 years, I realized that, oh no, there is so much more healing available to us when we are working in groups, especially as Latina women. That's when we actually see each other. And that's when we actually can connect with each other and witness the breakthroughs that happen through each other. You could actually have a breakthrough in a belief or actually start collapsing a limiting belief because your hermana or sister in the program is having a breakthrough. It doesn't even have to be you. You could have a breakthrough through somebody else's breakthrough. Isn't that amazing? That's the power of groups. And that's why Amigas in Business being there live was so impactful, is so impactful, and is so needed in our community. Some of you asked me, Wendy, how did you end up becoming a breakout room speaker, right? So let me tell you the story, which I don't think I've ever told on the podcast, at least not that I can remember, about how I met Ana Flores, right? Because it all starts with my relationship with her, which all of our enrollments start with relationship building, right? Go listen to the enrollment podcast episode, which is another foundational episode, super important. It has to do with step one, building relationships. So I actually saw Anna and heard of her back in like 2016, 2017. And through friends of friends, and I was involved in the transformational world, I knew of people that knew her. And when I made the decision in 2019 to start working with Latinas primarily, right, that was going to be my niche, I knew she was one of the people I wanted to get in touch with because she had a community of Latinas. So I emailed her. I figured out her email through the website. I sent her an email. No response. Now, keep in mind, this was back in 2019, right? It was a while ago. It's 2018, I think, actually. Sent her another email like a month later. No response. Sent her a third email, maybe like 3 months in. Still no response. So I made the decision, okay, Wendy, here's a challenge. Instead of giving up, oh, she doesn't want to hear from me, I decided, no, she doesn't even know who I am. So I just have to figure out another way to get her to see who I am and to start building a relationship with her so that she actually gets that what I do is really powerful and can actually help the community, can actually transform our community. So I figured out a way through a friend of a friend to get her cell number. I know. Isn't that crazy? I say it now and I'm like, oh my God, that took some cojones, right? That was definitely a courageous step of me. I asked a friend of a friend if I could have her direct cell, and I figured out her calendar invite. So I think that was how eventually I got to her cell. I figured out her calendar invite, made an appointment on her calendar. And then something happened where we didn't end up meeting. And then I asked my friend if she had her cell number. That's how it happened. So my friend gave me her cell number. So I sent her a text. I actually sent her a direct text and said, hey, Ana, this is Wendy Amara. Would love to speak with you. I'm a coach who is working with Latinas specifically. I would love to support you and be in collaboration and community with you. No response. So I could have given up then, right? And been like, well, all right, that's what's happening. But no, if you know me, you know one of the things that I talk about and that I teach and that I practice in my life is you've got to try at least 6 times before you give up. I try 6 times before I say, okay, forget it. At that point, that was try number 4. Try number 5 was me sending her another text with a link to schedule a call with me because I was thinking maybe she'll schedule a call. And finally, she scheduled a call and then missed the call. And then I said, can I just call you? And she said, yes. So then I called her and we actually spoke. So it was time number 6 where I actually got her on the call. And I remember her being in the car. I mean, she told me, listen, I'm driving. I'm sorry that I've had to miss our appointment. I'm going to have to reschedule it around. I have this other appointment come up that is really urgent for me. So I apologize. We'll have to reschedule. And I said, yeah, I just want 5 minutes of your time. Thank you so much for taking my call. And yes, let's definitely reschedule 5 minutes of your time. I'm a coach who works with Latinas, and I think I can really be of value in the spaces that you're bringing. I also happen to have a great muscle and skill set around enrollment and sales. And if you're looking for someone to support with bringing in sponsors or creating relationships, I can support also. So for those of you that are in my programs, I made an offer to her of adding value, right? That was my value add. Like I was adding value to her. It wasn't just about me sharing with her what I do. And she just said to me, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Okay, well, I'll be in touch. And that was it. She was very kind, very sweet. always very respectful and professional, which we love, and all about community and heart centered. Yay. Ah, but there wasn't like a for sure, let's talk next Tuesday at 9 o'clock. I'm really interested in what you have to say, which is okay. I get it. Whenever I tell people I'm a coach, they're kind of like, at least back then in 2018, there weren't that many of us out there. So when I would tell somebody I'm a coach, they were kind of like, what does that mean exactly? Even my mom still doesn't really get what I do. Okay, I let it go. That was end of 2018. I still had it in the back of my head. I got to figure out another way. I just got to try a different way, maybe actually coming up to her at an event and being like, hi, I'm Wendy. I'm the person who's been texting you for us to meet. Or maybe I need to plant an actual idea in her head, right? A specific idea in her head. Maybe that will be helpful. So I took some time, and then we all know what happened in 2020. The pandemic hit. Yes, the amazing, beautiful pandemic that we all lived through, or if you're listening to this anyways. Uh, so they got an influx of women asking for support because so many of us were working from home for the first time, dealing with kids at home that weren't going to school and still trying to do our job. People were laid off, people's hours were cut. People were really worried about the uncertainty of the future. Plus, there was a health crisis, especially in our communities where family members were passing away and we weren't even able to go to the hospital to be with them. A lot of crisis, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear in our community. And who got a phone call? Anna called me. Yes. Anna reached out and said, Wendy, listen, we are being inundated with messages and emails and on the Amiga Hood posts of women really going through major challenges. And I feel like this is a time where we need to bring together community. And we need someone who isn't necessarily a therapist because they have licensed rules that they have to follow, but somebody who is on the outside of that, but also has the experience that you have to be able to support our community during this very difficult time. And that is how Holding Hands was born. Holding Hands was born March of 2020 in the midst of the pandemic out of a need to bring community together and to teach us, one, how to manage our nervous system, which I did, not with like intentionality of, I'm going to call it, we're going to manage our nervous system. But I just knew that coming together in community and talking things out was going to create this level of support and love that was going to help us. It was also about teaching our community tools to help manage the uncertainty, the fear, all of the feelings that were coming up, and then giving us a safe space to just talk, to let it all out with no judgment, right? In a no judgment space. That's what Holding Hands has been about. That's what Holding Hands continues to be about. Back in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, I was doing weekly Holding Hands every Monday. You guys might remember every Monday at 11 a.m., I think it was. We would get together in the Amiga Hood with Holding Hands. And there were times where there were 60 women in that room. I think one time we had close to 80. And then there were times where there were 10 or 15, right? It just varied depending on what was going on. Oh, what a gift. What a gift to me as a coach to get to coach these rooms because I gained such valuable experience. But also, what a gift to the community that Anna was so connected to the community that she knew in that moment, we need to do something now. And from that, Anna asked me, who do you know that can do meditations? I need somebody to come in and maybe we'll offer something of support so people can meditate once a week. Immediately, I was like, Purple. Purple's amazing. If you guys know Purple, Alex Lira, shout out to Alex Lira. Purple had come to one of my future self experiences back in 2018, November of 2018. I remember. I wasn't even calling it future self back then. I was calling it like manifestation day or something. But she came to one of my trainings. I fell in love with her immediately. I recognized her as someone deeply rooted in Indigenous community love and that she was like a tree with very deep roots into Mother Earth. So immediately I said, let's bring Purple on. And that's how Purple started doing her meditations, which still happen once a month on Tuesdays. This is how community gets built, guys. But the moral of this story is this is what led me all the way now to being able to stand in front of this crowd at Amigas in Business and speak in a way that resonates with the community, right? Resonance. We covered that in my breakout room. If you didn't come to my breakout room and you want a copy of it, let me know and we'll send it to you, because we talked a lot about resonance and what is resonance and why does it connect with our community. But this story resonates. The part of it that I really want to highlight for all of you is the fact that I didn't give up. I never once thought, oh, okay, forget it. Anna wants nothing to do with me. I'm just going to, stop coaching Latinas. Or I guess my dream of having these kind of collaborations or these kind of connections is going to go away. No, no, no. I just reframed it. I just started looking at it from a different perspective. Okay, this particular way didn't work. This road didn't get me to my destination. Let me try a different road. Let me try a different way. But I didn't change the destination. I was still committed to being of service in this particular community. That commitment, that's what Vanessa and Anna recognize as love for the community, because they have it too. It resonates with them because they have the same love and commitment. Trust me when I say both these women are executives at such a high level. They could be making $500,000 working for some big corporate money place, or even some places in Hollywood and in the entertainment industry. They could be doing a million other things and making really good money and living their life. But instead, they are called to do the same work that I'm called to do the same work that you're probably called to do if you're listening to this, which is make an impact in our community. It's never just about us individually. It's about the impact we want to make. And that's what was in my heart when I went into doing this breakout room. So on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, right, at Amigas in Business, I had the breakout room called How to Build an Authentic Brand Through Storytelling, how to become the go-to in your industry. Yeah, I may be paraphrasing the title because I don't remember the exact title, but my point is, I did a workshop on branding and marketing yourself. What? Yes, Wendy did a workshop on branding and marketing yourself with the emphasis on authenticity. And they asked me to do this workshop, right? Which I love. That alone was a breakthrough for me because I was speaking from a place of, oh, yes, I have been authentic. And listen, I've had a lot of ups and downs in this ride called marketing and on the journey of social media and even the journey of coaching in holding hands. I probably have done, I don't know, close to 600 coaching calls at some point. If we do, in total over the last 3 years, there's a lot of coaching that I've done. So some of those haven't gone great. Not everybody loves me. And I've had to learn how to be more real and more raw. And also, I've had to learn how to trust my intuition, which I haven't always listened to. And sometimes that has led me to problems. But here's the big difference between what happened to me this time, going on stage and actually speaking and doing this breakout room, that was different from what has happened before. Because I've spoken at previous summits. In fact, I spoke at the La Quinta Summit a couple of years ago, and it was a different experience than it was this time. It was a great experience. Every single time I get to speak at the summit, it's an amazing experience. And I feel like I'm fully aligned with the work that I should be doing, the work that I'm meant to be doing. But this time, what was different about this time, and this is one of the lessons that I took away that I really want to share with you guys. What was different about this time is I was just being me 100%. I wasn't in the least bit worried, nervous, fearful. I wasn't in my head at all. You know how sometimes before we go speak, we get in our head about, okay, what is the presentation? What does the slides look like? What is it that I'm saying again? What's part one? What's part two? What's part three? Okay, none of it was in my head. I wrote it out on paper like 3 weeks before. And then with the help of my amazing assistant, we put it into their deck, and that was it. And then I printed it out the day before and kind of skimmed through it just to remember, oh, yeah, I'm going to cover this, I'm going to cover that. But I was completely out of my head. I was just in my body. I was in my body and in my heart. It's the first time I've ever gone on stage with this large of a crowd and not felt the slightest bit nervous. I've spoken in front of other groups before, and I always get a little bit nervous or excited, or there's like, a big dopamine hit, right? That's what we usually feel before we start. This time, it felt like I was in my living room, just talking to people straight out. It feels like when I'm here with you, which I'm in my office, just looking at my screen in Riverside. It felt like I was talking to a group of, mujeres who, just like me, have struggles and challenges and really, really want to get through them, really, really want to get to their next level. That's it. It didn't feel like, oh my God, I'm doing this big thing. No, it just felt like I'm just being me in my regular frequency. This is just who I am now. Ah, what a realization, right? This is just who I am and who I'm being always. It felt like it feels when I get with my mastermind students and I get on a call, or the way it feels like when I'm doing the money room. Same thing. I'm tapping into my intuition. Some of it is organized in my head, but most of it is just coming from my gut and me saying, oh, yeah, here's what we need to talk about. And all I need is to look up to the screen and see like the next bullet point, and then I go. And the go part was just me being naturally me being authentically whatever was coming up in the moment. I cracked some jokes. I did some live coaching, pulled somebody from the audience and coached her. I took answers from the audience. I remember I had a thought at one point, like, I want to have them do partner work, but then I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to have time for that. So we're going to do this instead. I was literally in the flow of just creating as I was moving through the workshop. This was not a set, okay, A, B, C, we're going to do this for sure. We're not going to do that. It was just in flow. I was also 100% transparent, like with what was happening in the space. So there was a slide that came up that I was like, oh, I don't know if we're going to get to this. And then we ended up getting to it, the success blueprint part, where I had everybody write down the 3 things that equal their success blueprint. And I was honest and real about, I might not get to that, but oh, we are going to get to that. So here's my first takeaway from the Amigas in Business Summit. The more raw and real you are, the more you're going to be in flow. And if you're in flow with the universe, if you're just being you with the universe, the more results you're going to be able to achieve quicker, faster, easier. How beautiful is that? Okay, that was lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 that I learned from Amigas in Business came from the amazing Ana Flores. She shared something from the stage when she was introducing one of the panels. And I remember writing it down. I actually put it in the notes in my phone because I was like, oh my God, I want to remember this exact moment of what she said. And this goes back to how she knew instinctively when the pandemic hit that the community needed help and that they needed to bring in people like me or Purple or additional resources, right? And back then, before there was Elevate, there was weekly calls in the Amiga hood called the office hours with Anna, right? They knew the need. She knew and could tap into what the community needed. So here's what Anna shared that really stuck with me. If you want to have a successful business and or life, there has to be deep listening to your audience. Not just regular listening, but deep listening. What is deep listening? Immediately I went to like, whoa, she's talking about a level of listening that is deeper than the average person listens, right? She's talking about really tapping into what is it that the audience needs? What is it that your audience is craving? And how do we bring that to them in a really powerful way? That resonated with me. It resonated with me so much that I memorized it. If you want to have success in your business, you need to listen deeply to your audience. Deep listening, not regular listening, but deep listening, which means really staying connected in person, right? Tapping into what are the needs. I also thought of like, wow, I need to be doing more surveys and more questionnaires and asking my audience, what do they need? What do they want? So that I'm reflecting back to them what's best going to serve them. So deep listening to the audience. Okay. The last and final, what I learned from my time in Amigas in Business takeaway that I'm going to share today came from the amazing and powerful Ellen Marie Bennett. Yes, Ellen Marie Bennett, who is a founder, author, cook, mama, designer. She's the founder of this $1 million business now, and the founder of Headley and Bennett. Yes, where they do kitchen appliances, they do cooking. I believe she has a cookbook for sure. She has a lot of stuff going up, and she's the host of Kitchen Glow Up. So she was on the panel where they talked about how they grew their businesses to 1 million plus. And here's what she shared that really resonated with me. She talked about how people say, well, the road for entrepreneurship is bumpy. It's a bumpy road. And then she said, no. It's not a bumpy road. The bumpy road is the road. There is no other road. The road is going to be bumpy, period. There is no easy, smooth ride road in entrepreneurship. Just get used to that now. Yes, that resonated with me so much because she's absolutely right. There is no easy road in entrepreneurship. If not, everybody would be doing it, and we wouldn't be making money doing it because there would be, whatever, hundreds and thousands of the same product out there. It is a bumpy road because you're creating it. You're the first going through that road. And even if you're not the first, chances are there is no one else like you who has created whatever it is you're creating. It's going to be bumpy no matter what. Listen, in my experience of entrepreneurship, once I figured one thing out, like one part of the road got less bumpy, but then another part of the road got even more bumpy. So as soon as I figured out like what is the funnel we're going to use, then there were challenges with growing the program. And then once I figured out how to grow the program, there were challenges with the finances. And once the finances were figured out, there were challenges with the legal aspect of it. I mean, you will always have a bumpy road in entrepreneurship. So get used to a bumpy ride. I think that's what Ellen was trying to share with us. And she was hilarious and so inspiring. We just have to get used to a bumpy ride. It's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. The more we train our brain to have that as an expectation, as opposed to, oh no, something's gone wrong because there's another bump in the road, like shifting our mindset to no, entrepreneurship and success is about learning to ride those bumps and learning from the bumps, because some parts will get smoother. Some parts will become more bumpy, but then they shift, right? This is how I feel in motherhood also, by the way. I have 3 kids, right? Twins that are, they just turned 10, twins that are 10 now, and my oldest daughter who's 13. And if I'm having a challenge with the 13-year-old and then it gets better, one of the twins has something come up that we've got to work on. And then if one of the twins' thing is solved, the other twin has something else. Like there's always something going on that is a challenge that needs some troubleshooting, is what I like to call it. Creative thinking, creative problem solving. Same thing in my business. So I've just learned to surrender to the fact that it's never going to really feel easy. It's always going to feel a little bit like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning something new, right? As we go along. The bumpy road is the road. I love that Ellen shared this. I related to so much of what she said from stage and just felt this resonance with her. There's that word again, resonance. What she shared resonated with my cells in my body. So get used to that. Okay, so these are the 3 takeaways from having been at Amigas in business. Number 1, be as raw and real as possible, because that frequency, that ability to be in flow is going to get you results quicker, faster, easier, period. Number 2, deep listening to our audience. From the very wise Ana Flores, we have to listen deeply to our audience in business always. And number 3, the bumpy road is the road. There is no other road. That is the road. That is how we play the entrepreneurship game. And don't play it alone. Play it in community with me, with other coaches, wherever you find community. It is so important for you to be at these events or live stream them or find your community on Zoom, any way that you can stay connected. That's what's going to feed your spirit. I love each of you so much, and my heart just goes out to you for the courage it takes to really practice this work, for the courage it takes to even listen to this podcast, to find the time. So I'm sending you a big, big abrazo wherever you're at. Come join me for any of my programs or any of my free events, or for the workshop that I have coming up on coaching, on a Jefa's Guide to a Coaching Business. And you can always send me questions also that you want me to use during my Yes Mujer Build It podcasts. You can send questions to hello@wendyamara.com. And you never know, we might feature your question. I might do some live coaching on your question here on the podcast. I can't wait to see you all on the next episode. Please keep listening. Please subscribe. Please send this to an amiga or 2 amigas or 3 amigas so they can also share with you their takeaways from the Amigas in Business experience. All right, I'll catch you guys on the next episode. So much love. Bye.